market was loud and full of life. Strange alien voices mixed with the sound of machines and the smell of burning oils. Creatures of many shapes and sizes moved between stalls, trading food, weapons, and rare crystals. But in one quiet corner, a girl sat alone. No one dared to go near her. She looked fragile, her skin pale and glowing faintly under the twin suns, her eyes too bright, almost shining like silver. She sat on the ground with her knees pulled close, her long dark hair falling forward like a shield. She did not speak. She did not smile. She only watched the world pass her by. Whispers followed her wherever she went. Do not touch her. Do not even stand too close. She is cursed. Merchants warned newcomers. Guards kept their distance. Even children who usually laughed at strangers avoided her shadow. The story was always the same. Anyone who touched her turned to dust, their bodies crumbling into nothing. It had happened before, and the market still remembered the horror. A trader who had tried to drag her away had turned into gray ashes in a single breath. After that day, she was left alone, feared like a monster. But the human had just arrived on this world. He was tall, carrying only a small pack and a stubborn look in his eyes. Unlike the others, he was not afraid. He saw the girl sitting alone, thin and silent, and his heart felt heavy. He had seen suffering before, but never like this. He asked a nearby merchant, "Why does she sit there all alone?" The alien hissed and turned away. "Stay away, stranger. She is death. Touch her, and you will be dust like the rest." The human frowned. He did not believe easily in curses or stories told by frightened crowds. He looked again at the girl. She was no monster. She was just a young girl, lonely, abandoned and trembling with hunger. Her hands were so thin they shook as she tried to lift a small piece of fruit from the ground. But even then, no one offered her help. Every step the human took closer made the crowd grow louder. Don't do it." Voices rose, eyes wide with fear. The girl herself lifted her head, her silver eyes locked on him. For the first time, someone was walking toward her. Her lips parted, her voice soft and broken. "Stop! Please stop, you do not know what will happen." Her words were almost a whisper, but full of warning and pain. The human did not stop. His steps were slow but steady. He felt the tension in the air, like a storm waiting to break. Yet something inside him told him this girl was not what they said she was. The girl's breath grew faster, her body trembling. She had seen too many die because of her curse, too many reduced to nothing. She could not let this stranger suffer the same fate, but he kept coming closer and closer, until the space between them was only a few steps. The market fell silent. Everyone held their breath, waiting for the moment of death. The girl's eyes filled with tears, her voice shaking. Why are you not afraid?" The human looked at her, his voice steady. "Because you are not a curse, you are a person." Gasps ran through the crowd. No one had ever spoken to her like that. No one had ever dared to stand so near. And the girl felt something she had forgotten long ago. Hope, but deep inside, fear still gripped her. Because if he reached out, if his skin touched hers, he would turn to dust like all the others, and she could not bear to see that happen again. Yet the human's eyes did not look away. His steps did not stop, and the curse girl realized her life was about to change forever. The human did not sleep that night. He kept thinking about the girl with silver eyes. She haunted his thoughts, her lonely figure sitting in the dust, the way the crowd feared her like a demon. Yet she looked so fragile, so broken. He sat near a small fire outside the city walls, staring at the stars above. In all his travels across strange worlds, he had seen many wonders. He had seen machines that could bend time, beasts that could crush metal with their jaws, and rulers who called themselves gods. But never had he seen a single young girl strike such fear in the hearts of so many. Why was she cursed, he wondered. Why did no one dare to help her, and why, when he stood so close, did nothing happen to him? These questions burned inside him. By morning, he returned to the market. The air smelled of smoke and roasted meat. Traders shouted prices and guards walked the streets. But his eyes searched only for her. And there she was, in the same corner, knees pulled close, her eyes staring at the ground as if the world had already ended for her. The crowd still avoided her, keeping a circle of emptiness around where she sat. He noticed how hungry she looked, her lips dry, her hands trembling as if she had no strength left. She was alive, but only just. He approached slowly. This time the whispers rose like thunder. "Fool, don't go near her. You will die, like the others. Stay back, stranger." The warnings came from every side, but his feet did not stop. The girl's head lifted, her silver eyes widening in disbelief. She had thought he would never return. No one ever came back twice. Her voice was weak, almost lost under the noise. Why are you here again?" The human crouched down just outside her circle of dust, his voice calm. "Because I don't believe you are what they say." Her heart pounded, fear and confusion twisting inside her. "You don't understand," she whispered. "I am death to anyone who comes near me. I don't want to hurt you." He shook his head, his gaze steady. "I stood near you yesterday and I'm still here alive. Maybe the curse is not as real as they think." The girl bit her lip, her hands tightening. She wanted to believe his words, but the memories of others turning to dust clawed at her. Mind, their screams, their empty eyes as their bodies fell apart, she could not forget. He studied her face, her trembling, her fear, but beneath all of it he saw loneliness deeper than any wound. He spoke gently. "Tell me your name." Her lips parted, and for a moment she almost answered, but then she shook her head quickly. "No, if you know me, if you stay near me, you will suffer like them. You must go." But the human leaned closer, lowering his voice. "I don't walk away from people in pain." Those words cut through her like light in darkness. No one had ever spoken to her that way. No one had ever cared. The people around them gasped, waiting for him to turn to dust at any moment, but nothing happened. The girl's silver eyes locked onto him, trembling with both fear and something new. Hope. The human did not touch her. Not yet. But his curiosity burned stronger. He had to know why he was different, why her deadly curse did not harm him. As the suns began to set, he whispered to himself, "There is a truth here, and I will find it." The cursed girl looked at him, her voice barely more than a breath. "You are not afraid, but you should be." And in that moment, the human knew he had stepped onto a path that would change not only her life, but his own. The human returned again, and this time he walked with purpose. The market was alive with noise, yet the air grew heavy as soon as he stepped toward the cursed corner. Whispers spread faster than fire. "He's going near her again. This fool will die today. Watch, he will turn into dust before our eyes." The girl sat in the same place, her back against a broken stone wall, her silver eyes dull with exhaustion. She had not eaten for days. Every breath felt heavier than the last. Yet when she saw him coming, something stirred in her chest. She had told him to leave, begged him not to return, but here he was. Her lips trembled as she whispered, "Stop, please stop. You don't understand what will happen." But the human did not stop. His steps were steady, his eyes locked on her as if she was the only one in the world, his voice calm but firm. "I am not here to mock you. I am not here to test a curse. I am here to see you." The crowd gasped at his words. Some pulled their children back. Others hid behind stalls. A few even ran away. Fear thickened the air. It was as if death itself was walking toward them. The girl's heartbeat thundered in her chest. She wanted to believe in him. But she remembered the faces of those who had touched her before, their bodies collapsing into gray dust, the way the wind carried them away. She could not let him suffer the same fate. "Turn back," she begged, her silver eyes wet with tears. "I cannot control it. If you get too close, you will die." The human's jaw tightened, but he did not waver. "Maybe that's true, but maybe it's not," he said quietly. "And if I run away, you will stay here alone forever. Is that what you want?" Her chest ached at his words. No one had ever asked her what she wanted. No one had ever seen her as anything but a danger. She shook her head slowly. Unable to answer, step by step he closed the distance until only a few steps separated them. The silence was so deep now that even the traders had stopped shouting. All eyes were locked on the human and the cursed girl. The girl pressed her hands against her chest, trembling, her voice breaking. "Why are you doing this? Why would you risk your life for me? The human's voice was steady, but his eyes revealed something deeper. Because I cannot watch someone suffer when I can still choose to act. Her tears fell, her heart torn between fear and a strange warmth she had long forgotten. Her curse had taken away everything: family, friends, hope. But now, for the first time, she felt something different, something fragile but powerful. The human crouched down, lowering himself so his eyes were level with hers. "Look at me," he said softly. "Do I look afraid?" She stared at him, her silver eyes shaking, and for the first time in years, she whispered her name, a name she had buried. Leora. The human's lips curved into the smallest smile. "Leora," he repeated as if the name was sacred. "I'm glad to finally meet you." Gasps ran through the crowd. No one had ever dared to speak her name aloud. It was considered cursed, yet here was a human speaking it without fear. Her hands shook harder, her breath quickened. She wanted to push him away, to protect him, but her heart refused, and then, as the suns lowered and shadows stretched across the market, the human lifted his hand slowly, reaching toward her. The crowd held their breath. Leora's eyes widened. In terror, "No, don't!" she cried, but his hand did not stop. The cursed girl braced herself for the sound of death, for the crumble of dust, for another life lost to her curse. Yet deep inside, a question burned, stronger than her fear. What if this human truly was different? The human's hand moved slowly, his fingers reaching out as the whole market held its breath. People pressed against walls and stalls, their eyes wide. Some covered their mouths, waiting for the human to crumble into dust the moment his skin touched hers. Leora shook her head wildly, her voice breaking. "No, don't. You don't understand. You will die." But the human did not listen. His eyes never left hers, steady and calm, his voice low but firm. "Then let me die trying instead of watching you suffer alone." Her heart pounded so loudly she thought it would break through her chest. No one had ever spoken those words. No one had ever dared. Every part of her wanted to scream and push him away, but another part, deep, hidden, fragile, wanted to know, could it be possible? Could someone truly touch her without turning to dust? The crowd grew restless, their whispers rising like thunder. "He is mad. The human is finished. Watch, he will vanish before our eyes." And then, it happened. The human's hand touched hers, skin against skin. Leora's silver eyes widened in terror, expecting the same horror she had seen before. The gray crumble, the last scream, the ashes blowing into the wind, but nothing happened. The human was still there, kneeling before her, his warm hand wrapped around hers, alive, breathing, strong. Gasps filled the marketplace. Merchants dropped their goods, guards stepped back. Even the children stared with mouths open. Never in their lives had they seen this. Leora froze, unable to breathe. Her mind screamed that this was impossible. The curse was real. It always killed. Yet his hand was holding hers, and he was not dust. He was alive. Her lips trembled as she whispered, How are you still here?" The human's grip tightened gently, his voice calm. "Because you were never meant to be alone." Tears burst from her eyes, her whole body trembling. She had carried the curse for so long, watching others fall, hearing the screams, feeling the crushing weight of guilt. Yet here was someone who defied it, who touched her and lived. The crowd erupted in noise. Some shouted in fear, others in disbelief, and a few even in anger. "It's a trick. He uses magic. No one survives her touch." Guards began to push through the crowd, their faces filled with fear and suspicion. The council would never allow this truth to spread. If the curse could be broken, their power would weaken. Leora's tears streamed down her cheeks as she stared at the human, unable to let go of his hand, afraid that if she did, it would all vanish. The human leaned closer, his voice soft. "See, you are not death, Leora. You are alive. You are more than what they say." Her chest ached at his words, hope and terror colliding inside her. She whispered, "But why you? Why only you?" He shook his head, his eyes steady. I don't know yet, but I will find out. The guards shouted for the crowd to move, their weapons raised, fear spreading through the air like fire. They wanted to seize her, to silence the proof of her survival. The human rose to his feet, pulling her up with him, her hand still locked in his. She gasped at the strength in his grip, the certainty in his steps, as if he had already chosen his path. The marketplace split in chaos. Some screamed, some fled, some pushed forward to see more, but all eyes were locked on the cursed girl who was no longer cursed, and the human who had dared to touch her. For the first time, Leora felt the warmth of another hand, without death, without dust, without pain, and she realized her life had just changed forever. Leora could not stop staring at their joined hands. Her body shook with fear and wonder. The warmth of his skin traveled through her like fire and light. She whispered again and again, "This cannot be. This cannot be." The human held her steady, his voice calm. "It is real, you see. I am alive. Your curse has no power over me." But deep inside, Leora knew it was not that simple. She had lived too long with this shadow, seen too many lives crumble into dust. She pulled her hand back slightly, trembling, her silver eyes searching his face. "You do not understand. It is not only a curse, it is something deeper." The crowd's noise faded into the background, as if the world itself had vanished, only the human and the girl remained. He leaned closer, his voice low. "Then tell me what they have done to you." Her breath came fast, every word heavy with fear. "I was not born cursed, I was made this way." The human's eyes hardened, a flash of anger in his gaze. "Made? What do you mean?" Leora shook her head, her tears falling. "My people, the council, they feared me. They said I was too different, too dangerous, so they placed something inside me, a weapon, a living thing that kills anyone who touches me. It was their way to keep me isolated, to make me untouchable." The human clenched his fists, his voice rough. "They turned you into a prison of your own body." She nodded slowly, pain twisting her words. "I begged them to take it away. I begged them not to leave me like this. But they laughed. They said the galaxy needed a warning, a curse, to remind others of their power, so they left me here to rot. To be feared." The human's jaw tightened, fury burning in his chest, but he forced his voice to soften. "And yet, when I touched you, nothing happened. Why?" Leora shook her head, her silver eyes wide with confusion. "I don't know, it should have killed you like it killed the others, maybe. Maybe something inside you is different. Maybe you are not like them." The words hung in the air like fire, the possibility of hope, the chance that her curse was not absolute. The human studied her face, her trembling hands, her tears, and he made a silent promise to himself. "Then we will find the truth, and I will not let them use you like this again." But even as he spoke, the sound of marching feet grew louder. The guards had surrounded the marketplace, their weapons raised, their eyes locked on the human and the girl. One of them shouted, his voice cold, "Step away from her, human. She is property of the council. She is not yours to touch." The human stepped in front of Leora, his body shielding hers, his voice sharp. "She is not property. She is not a curse. She is a person, and she chooses who she is." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Never before had anyone spoken against the council so openly. The guards stiffened, their hands tightening on their weapons. Leora clutched his arm, her voice urgent. "You don't understand. They will kill you. They will kill us both." But the human only shook his head, his voice steady. "Then let them try. Because I will not let them take you back into the shadows." Her heart ached, torn between fear and a strange, dangerous hope. For so long she had been silent, hidden, cursed. But now someone had chosen to stand for her, someone who did not turn to dust, someone who saw her as more than a weapon. For the first time in years, she whispered words she thought she would never say again. "Please, don't leave me." The human turned his head slightly, his eyes locking on hers, and with a fierce certainty he said, "I won't." The marketplace was in chaos. Merchants dragged their stalls away. Mothers pulled their children back. Whispers turned into shouts, yet in the center of it all stood the human and the cursed girl, their hands still linked. The guards moved in closer, their armor gleaming under the twin suns. spears and shock blades aimed at the pair. Their leader, a tall figure with dark red skin and burning eyes, raised his voice. By order of the council, the cursed one must be taken and the outsider who defies our law will be punished. Leora trembled behind the human, her silver eyes wide with terror. She knew what would come next. "Please," she whispered, clutching his arm. "You must. Run. They will kill you if you stay." But the human did not move, his stance firm, his voice steady. "If they want her, they will have to go through me." The guards hesitated, fear flickering in their eyes. They had seen men turn to dust from her touch, yet this human still stood unharmed. The sight of him defying the curse shook even their loyalty. Still, the leader barked a command. "Seize them both." Blades rose, boots pounded the ground, and the circle of soldiers closed in. The human tightened his grip on Leora's hand, leaning back just enough to whisper, "Stay close to me, do not let go." Her voice cracked. "They are too many. You cannot fight them all." His eyes burned with determination. "Then we don't fight. We survive." In a sudden movement, he pulled her into the crowd. Weaving between terrified merchants and panicked buyers, the guards shouted and pushed after them. The marketplace exploded into chaos. Stalls toppled, crates smashed, dust and smoke filled the air. Leora's breath came fast, her legs weak from hunger, yet she ran because he pulled her forward, his hand never letting go. Behind them, soldiers clashed with fleeing aliens, shouting for the human and the girl. The sound of metal and screams followed close. Through the alleys they ran, the narrow streets twisting like a maze, shadows stretching long as the suns began to sink. Leora gasped for breath. "You don't understand. The council rules everything. There is no escape from them." The human's voice was fierce. "Every empire thinks it cannot be defied, but nothing lasts forever." They turned a corner into a dark passage, stone walls cracked and broken, the smell of rust and damp filling the air. The human slowed, pressing her gently against the wall, listening. The heavy boots of soldiers echoed in the distance, closer and closer, their voices sharp. "They went this way. Find them." Leora trembled, fear eating at her. "Why are you doing this? Why risk your life for me? You should have left me there." One human crouched in front of her, his eyes steady. "Because I will not let them use you, because you are more than their curse, because you deserve to live free." Her silver eyes filled with tears, her voice barely a whisper. "No one has ever said that to me." Footsteps grew louder, shouts filling the passage. The human rose quickly, scanning the walls, his eyes finding a broken grate half hidden by shadows. He pulled it free with a sharp jerk of strength, revealing a dark tunnel beyond. He turned back to Leora, offering his hand again. "Come with me." She stared at him, trembling, her fear battling with the tiny spark of trust she felt. At last she placed her thin hand in his, her voice shaking. "If I go with you, there will be no turning back." The human's answer was simple. "Then let's never turn back." Together, they slipped into the darkness as the guards stormed past, their shouts echoing through the empty streets, far away. In the towering halls of the council chamber, word of what had happened spread quickly. The elders sat in silence, their faces grim. The cursed girl had been touched, and the human had lived. One of the counselors slammed his fist on the table, his voice like thunder. "This cannot be allowed. If the people believe she is free, our control will shatter." Another leaned forward, eyes glowing. "Then send more than guards. Send hunters. Send killers. The human must die, and the girl must be brought back in chains." The chamber filled with shadows, their decision clear. The human had defied them, and now the council would unleash all its wrath. Night fell over the alien city. The twin suns sank behind the horizon, and the market's noise faded into silence. In the shadows, Leora and the human moved carefully through broken alleys and narrow tunnels, their footsteps light, their breaths uneven. The human's grip on her hand never loosened. Every time she stumbled, he steadied her. Every time fear rose in her chest, his voice whispered, "Keep moving. You are not alone anymore." But danger was close. Hunters had already been sent. These were not simple guards. They were trained killers, their senses sharp, their weapons deadly. They followed trails of scent and sound like wolves. Leora trembled, her silver eyes darting around. They will find us. They always find me. You don't understand what kind of power the council holds. The human's voice was calm but firm. I understand enough they want you broken, but as long as I stand, they will not have you. They reached the end of a tunnel, where the air opened into a ruined courtyard. The stones cracked, vines creeping through the walls. The stars above were sharp and cold. For a moment, it was quiet. Leora sank to her knees, exhausted. I cannot run anymore. My body is too weak. The human knelt beside her, his hand on her shoulder. Then we rest, but only for a moment, because if they find us here, we will not live to see morning. Her eyes filled with tears, guilt twisting inside her. If not for me, you would be safe. You could walk away and no one would hunt you. He shook his head, his eyes steady in the dim light. If I walked away, I would never forgive myself. Your life matters, Leora, more than their lies, more than their power. The sound of movement cut through the night. Footsteps, slow and deliberate. Hunters closing in. The human's jaw tightened. He rose to his feet, scanning the shadows. Out of the darkness, shapes emerged. Tall, armored figures with glowing eyes, weapons in hand, their voices deep and cold. Give us the cursed one, human, and you may die quickly. Leora's breath caught, terror flooding her. Her hand gripped the human's arm. You cannot fight them. They are not like the guards. But the human only stepped in front of her, his stance unyielding. Then they will learn that I am not like the others either. The hunters spread out, surrounding them, their weapons gleaming. One of them raised a blade, ready to strike. The human acted fast, grabbing a broken metal pipe from the ground. His movements quick, his strikes precise, he fought with fury and desperation. Each clash sending sparks into the night. Leora watched in horror and awe. She had never seen anyone stand for her like this, his body moving with strength, his eyes burning with determination. One hunter fell, another staggered but more pressed in, their strength overwhelming. Leora's chest tightened, her voice broke into a cry. Stop! You will die for me! But the human shouted back, if I die, it will not be for nothing. It will be because you deserve to live. Her tears streamed down, her heart pounding, and in that moment, something inside her stirred. A faint glow from her chest, the curse within her shifting as if it could feel her desire to protect him. The hunters hesitated, fear flickering in their glowing eyes. One of them hissed, She is awakening, the curse is changing. The human turned back, his eyes locking on hers. Leora, listen to me. You are not their weapon. You are not their curse. You are free. Her body shook, the glow inside her spreading to her silver eyes. For the first time she felt control, not destruction, but strength. The hunters stepped back, unsure, their formation breaking. The human grabbed her hand again and whispered urgently, "Now we run." Together they fled into the darkness, the sound of pursuit fading as they disappeared into the twisting ruins. Behind them the hunters regrouped, their leader's voice sharp. The council must be warned. The curse has changed, and the human is the key. The ruins were cold and silent. Broken walls leaned at strange angles, and the wind whistled through cracks like whispers of ghosts. Leora and the human crouched inside what was once a temple. The ceiling opened to the stars. The human kept watch near the doorway, his eyes sharp, his body tense, but his hand never left the pipe he had used as a weapon. Every shadow looked dangerous. Every sound could be hunters returning. Leora sat near the broken altar, her body trembling with exhaustion. The faint silver glow in her chest still pulsed softly. She pressed her hands against it, trying to steady her breath. At last she whispered, her voice shaking, "You should know the truth. You should know what I really am." The human turned, his eyes meeting hers. "Tell me." She swallowed hard, her silver eyes glistening with tears. "The curse inside me, it is not only a weapon, it is alive. It was made long ago by the council's scientists. They called it the dust seed. It was designed to destroy anything that touched me, to make me untouchable, unlovable, unreachable. The human's jaw tightened, his anger sharp. They placed this thing in you when you were a child. She nodded slowly, her voice breaking. Yes, I was only 7. They said I was too different. My blood carried strange energy. My body shone with light. They feared me, so they locked me in chains and placed the dust seed inside me. They said it was my destiny to be their warning to the galaxy. The human clenched his fists, his voice heavy with rage. They turned you into a weapon against your will. Tears slid down her cheeks. I killed so many without meaning to. Every time someone tried to hold me, every time someone reached out. They turned into dust. I screamed, I begged, but it never stopped. They left me in the market so everyone would see me as cursed, a monster, so no one would ever dare to love me. The human crossed the room slowly, kneeling in front of her, his voice steady but fierce. Leora, you did not kill them. The council did. They forced this on you. You are not the curse. You are the victim. Her eyes shook as his words sank into her heart. She wanted to believe them, but the guilt was heavy. Then why are you different? Why can you touch me without turning to dust? He reached out again, taking her hand gently, their fingers interlocking. The glow in her chest pulsed brighter, but did not harm him. His voice was calm. Because whatever they put in you, it was never made for humans. Maybe our blood, our energy is different. Maybe I am the key to breaking it. Her breath caught, her tears falling faster. Do you truly believe it can be broken? His eyes locked on hers with fierce certainty. Yes, I believe it, and I will prove it. She trembled, torn between fear and hope, her voice barely a whisper. If you are wrong, it will kill you. The human's lips curved into the smallest smile. Then I'll take that chance, because you deserve to know what it feels like to live without fear. Outside, faint echoes of hunters drifted through the ruins, their voices carrying orders. The council's net was closing tighter. Leora's silver glow flickered brighter. Responding to the human's touch for the first time, she felt the dust seed weaken, its hold loosening like cracks spreading through chains. She gasped softly, looking at him. It's changing when you hold me. It changes. The human's grip tightened gently, his voice firm. Then we will use that. We will break their weapon piece by piece until you are free. But far away, in the council chamber, the elders spoke in shadows, their voices grim. If the dust seed fails, if the human weakens its power, our control will collapse, another elder hissed. Then unleash the purge, send everything we have, destroy the human before he unravels centuries of fear. Back in the ruins, Leora leaned against the human, her voice soft but certain. They will come for us with everything. They will never stop. The human's eyes narrowed, his jaw set. Then neither will I. The ruins were silent except for the faint sound of the night wind. Stars burned bright above, but Leora felt no peace. Her chest glowed faintly, as the dust seed inside her pulsed like a living chain. She hugged herself, her silver eyes trembling. With fear, the human sat across from her, sharpening a broken blade on a stone. His movements slow, his eyes thoughtful. He was not only preparing for the council's hunters, he was planning something deeper, something dangerous. At last he spoke, his voice calm. Leora, if the dust seed is alive, then it can be weakened. And if it can be weakened, it can be broken. She shook her head quickly, her voice sharp with fear. No, you don't understand. It is bound to me. It lives inside me. If you try to break it, it will kill me, and it will kill you too. The human's gaze did not waver, his tone steady. I've seen living machines before, parasites of energy, things that feed on fear and pain. And I think this seed is the same. It thrives because you believe you are cursed because you are afraid. Leora's breath caught, her tears welling up. So you think it is my fault that I let it win? He dropped the blade, moving closer, his hand gently lifting her chin so her eyes met his. No, it's not your fault. It was forced on you. But what they built can be undone. And I think I'm the only one who can do it. She trembled, her voice breaking. Why only you? His eyes softened. Because when I touch you, it doesn't react. Maybe my blood. Maybe my soul. I don't. No, but I know this. Together we can starve it, weaken it until it has nothing left. Her tears fell, her chest aching with both fear and hope. But what if you are wrong? What if it kills you like the others? The human's lips curved into a faint smile, his voice steady. Then I'd die knowing I tried. I'd rather risk my life than let them keep you as their weapon. Her heart twisted, her hands trembling as she whispered, "Why do you care? So much you don't even know me." He leaned closer, his voice low, his eyes burning with truth. "Because no one deserves to live in chains. Because I know what it is to be alone. And because when I saw you in that market, something inside me said, if I walk away, I'll never forgive myself." The words broke her, her tears spilling freely. She buried her face against his chest, her voice shaking. "I don't want you to die for me." He wrapped his arms around her, his warmth steady and grounding. "Then let me live for you, and let's break this curse together." For the first time in years, Leora allowed herself to hope. Her silver glow flickered brighter. But this time it did not burn, it did not destroy. It softened under his touch, but outside the ruins the hunters gathered, their leader raising a black banner, his voice carrying through the night. "The purge begins. No mercy, no survival. Burn the ruins, kill the human. Bring back the cursed one in chains." Flames lit the horizon as soldiers marched. Machines roared and the ground trembled under their advance. Leora felt the vibration and clutched his arm in terror. "They are coming with everything, you cannot stop them." The human's jaw tightened, his eyes narrowing as he rose to his feet. "I don't need to stop them forever, I just need enough time to finish this." He turned back to her, his voice sharp but filled with determination. "Leora, I have a plan. It will be dangerous, it will hurt, but it may be the only way to break the dust seed." Her breath caught, her voice shaking. "Tell me." He placed his hand on her chest, directly over the glowing light, his touch steady, his eyes locked on hers. "I'm going to force it out. I'll draw its power into me, and when it weakens, you will finally be free." Her silver eyes widened in horror. "No, it will kill you." He shook his head slowly. "Maybe, but maybe not. Maybe this is why I can touch you. Maybe this is why I found you. To take your burden and end it." The ruins shook again as fire lit the night, the enemy closing in. Leora's tears streamed down, her voice breaking. "I cannot let you do this." The human gripped her hand tightly, his voice firm. "You don't have to let me, you only have to trust me." The ruins shook as fire spread across the horizon. The purge forces had arrived, their machines rolled forward on iron wheels, their weapons glowing with energy. Hunters marched in lines, their voices chanting the council's will. The night itself seemed to burn. Inside the crumbling temple, the human stood tall, his hand pressed against Leora's chest. The silver glow of the dust seed pulsing wildly beneath his palm, Leora gasped, her body trembling. "No, stop. It will consume you." His eyes were fierce, his voice steady. "Then let it try, because tonight this ends." Outside, the soldiers raised torches. Their leader shouted, "Burn them out, destroy the human, take the girl." Flames burst against the broken walls, smoke filled the air. Leora coughed, her silver eyes glowing brighter. The dust seed reacting to the chaos. It throbbed violently, a living chain fighting to survive. The human gritted his teeth, pressing harder. He felt the strange energy crackle under his skin, trying to seep into him, a cold fire burning through his veins. But he refused to pull away. Leora screamed, clutching his arms. "Please, let go, it will kill you." He shook his head, sweat dripping down his face. "I will not let them win. I will not let them keep you in chains." The dust seed flared. Inside her chest, silver light spilling across the ruins, the soldiers outside froze in fear, some dropping their weapons as the glow poured through cracks in the walls. The leader barked, "Do not fear. It is only the curse. Strike them down, the Yai." Hunters charged, their weapons cutting through the smoke. But the human stepped in front of Leora, his body glowing faintly now, the dust seed's power mixing with his own. When the first hunter swung, the blade shattered against his arm, sparks flying into the night. Gasps rose from the soldiers. "Impossible, the curse protects him." The human pushed forward, striking. With raw strength, his pipe smashing through armor, his movements faster, sharper, fueled by the energy flooding him. Yet every strike burned his body. Every breath felt heavier. Leora's tears streamed down, her heart breaking. She saw the curse eating him alive, his veins glowing faintly with silver light. "Stop, please, you will die." But he turned to her, even in the chaos, and whispered, "If this is the price, then it is worth it." The dust seed screamed inside her, a sound no one else could hear, its grip tightening. But for the first time, cracks spread through its shell, the human's touch forcing it to weaken. The council's forces roared, more soldiers flooding the ruins, their machines firing blasts of fire. The walls crumbling, the air thick with smoke and ash. The human staggered but did not fall, his hand never leaving Leora's chest. "Fight it, Leora. Don't let it own you. Take back your life." Her silver eyes blazed, the glow inside her shifting from wild destruction to steady light. She reached up, her hands covering his, her voice shaking but strong. Together. The ruins erupted with light. A blinding wave of silver energy blasted outward. Soldiers were thrown to the ground. Machines split apart. The sky itself seemed to tremble. When the glow faded, silence fell. The battlefield lay in ruins. Hunters sprawled unconscious, their weapons shattered. The fire smothered by the strange silver radiance. The human collapsed to his knees, gasping, his body weak, his veins still glowing faintly. Leora dropped beside him, her hands trembling. "No, don't leave me, please don't leave me." He forced a smile through the pain, his voice low but steady. "Did it work?" Her hands pressed against her chest. The glow was gone. The dust seed's pulse no longer throbbed inside her. Her silver eyes widened, tears streaming. "It's gone. The curse is gone." The human's shoulders sagged, relief softening his face. "Good." But the council's leader, wounded yet alive, staggered to his feet, his voice filled with rage. "This is not the end, human. She belongs to us. She will always belong to us." The human rose slowly, his body shaking, but his eyes burned with fire. He stepped in front of Leora once more, his voice like iron. "No, she belongs to no one but herself." Smoke drifted across the ruins, the ground cracked, the machines of the purge lay in pieces. The hunters who had marched with pride now crawled in fear. Yet at the center of the devastation stood the human, and the girl once called cursed. Leora clutched her chest, her silver eyes wide with wonder. The dust seed was gone. For the first time since childhood, she felt no chain inside her, no pulse of death waiting to destroy anyone who touched her. She pressed her hand against her skin and gasped, "It's really gone." The human, though trembling and weak, gave a tired smile, his veins still faintly glowing from the energy he had absorbed. "I told you. Nothing lasts forever." Tears spilled down her cheeks. She reached for his hand, and this time she did not hesitate. She held him tightly, her voice shaking. "You broke what no one else could. You gave me back my life." The soldiers who survived whispered in terror, their eyes wide. "The curse is broken. The human destroyed it. She is free." But the council's leader still stood, blood dripping from a wound on his brow, his voice a roar of rage. "No, she is not free. She belongs to the council. She was made to be our warning, our power." He raised his weapon, a blade glowing with red fire ready to strike. The human stepped forward, though his body screamed in pain, his voice steady. "No, she was never yours. She was never a weapon. She is herself, and she chooses her own fate." Leora's silver eyes burned, the light within her now soft and pure, not a curse but her own strength. She stepped beside him, her voice rising like thunder. "I am not your curse. I am not your weapon. I am Leora, and I am free." The leader charged, his blade cutting through the air. But before he could strike, Leora lifted her hand. The light inside her surged outward, not the destructive curse, but a wave of pure energy. It struck the leader with such force that his blade shattered, and he was thrown across the ruins, his body crumbling under the weight of the power he once controlled. Silence followed. The remaining soldiers dropped their weapons, none dared to move. Their leader was gone, their fear shattered. The legend of the cursed girl had ended before their eyes. The human swayed, his knees weak, but Leora caught him, holding him close. "Stay with me. Please don't leave me now." He forced a breath, his lips curving into a faint smile. I'm not going anywhere. Together they stepped out of the ruins. The crowd that had once mocked and feared her now stared in awe. Some bowed. Some whispered prayers. Others simply watched in silence. Leora held the human's hand high, her silver eyes glowing softly, her voice steady. I was once cursed, but no curse lasts forever. Today I am free because someone dared to reach for me because he believed I was more than their lies, the crowd murmured, their fear breaking, hope spreading like fire. The human leaned close, whispering softly into her ear. They will never chain you again, not while I live. She turned to him, her tears shining like stars. And I will never let you stand alone. Above them, the night sky stretched endless and clear. No chains, no curse, only freedom. And so the story of the cursed girl ended, replaced by a new one. The tale of a human who reached out when no one else dared, and of a girl who learned that she was never death, but life. For the first time, Leora smiled, her voice trembling but full of certainty. You touched me, and gave me more than freedom. You gave me a future. The human squeezed her hand, his voice low and sure. Then let's walk into it together. The ruins behind them smoldered, the council's power broken, but before them lay a new beginning. A path not of fear, but of hope. The cursed girl was no more. Only Leora remained, and she was finally free.